Hello everybody, this is John. Welcome to the Mershman Seeds Ag Weather Outlook, October 7th, 2017. Well, over parts of the area, it was quite a wet week over southern parts of Minnesota, the western half of Iowa, parts of Nebraska, scattered areas of Missouri and Kansas as well. Very wet week. That's causing some problems during this harvest season. That area in red is 5 inches or more of rain. So if you're in that area, you're probably dealing with issues with very wet fields and delays in harvesting. Other areas were very dry. Iowa's been quite dry, so more of that might have soaked in, but still that's 2 inches to 4 inches of rain over the last week. Now, if we go further to the east, there was some precipitation. Illinois is really dry, and there was some rainfall over the central part of the state, but overall, about half the state, no rain at all. Then a little bit more over Indiana as well, right through that line that cut right through the central part. But the big story, and I called for this last week, is that really heavy rain right in that area. Now, it was a very mild week, unusually warm temperatures for fall. You can see that parts of right through Missouri and Kansas, 10 degrees above normal, but everywhere else, anywhere from 3 to 6 degrees above normal was the average. Okay, so when we look at soil moisture here, you can really see the changes here between west and east. The west, much wetter soils, that's the green, and the blue is indicating the likelihood of soggy soils. Then we get over to the east, and what we see these soils that are unusually dry in those areas. So you've heard of Tropical Storm Nate. Most likely it's in the Gulf of Mexico moving to the north. Question is, where will that bring that stripe of really heavy rain? It looks like that upper system that's pushing across the Midwest at the current time I'll be talking about, that's going to sweep Nate off to the east. So maybe the far eastern edge of the Corn Belt could receive some rain from Nate. But overall, I think that's something we're going to watch, and it's really not going to have much impact at all on the U.S. Corn Belt. So this week what we have here is we have a sort of a broad dip in the jet stream over the western part of the U.S. and a sort of a broad ridging of the jet stream over the east. So what we're going to have here is we're going to have cooler weather over the east or over the west, and still lingering quite warm, maybe in the 3 to 6 degree above normal temperature range over the eastern Corn Belt. That's the next 5 days. Now we are going to have some warmer air pushing in at the end of this 5-day period, and with that a boundary will be pushing through, and that could bring some rain to a small part of the central Corn Belt. You can see that right there. A couple inches of rain, but it's in a very limited section. So here's the track of the rain from Nate. Comes across Alabama, parts of North Georgia, the Tennessee River Valley, parts of the Ohio River Valley. So some of that could brush Kentucky and far southeast Ohio, and then up into the northeast U.S. Okay, now the temperature story, the big story here, will occur in the middle part of the month, October 12th through 17th. This is the 6 to 10 day period. And look at that ridge of high pressure. That really starts to push to the north, and that's going to result in unusually warm fall weather right over areas that are very, very dry, but generally over the central and eastern Corn Belt. And that's 10 to 15 degrees above normal over that region of Illinois, that lighter shade of red there. But a larger area, that darker shade, that's around 10 degrees, 5 to 10 degrees above normal over a very large part of the Corn Belt. So 6 to 10 day period, unusually mild. Then as we get into the 17th through the 22nd, we do have a weak front that pushes through, but the jet stream's still further north than normal, so that means temperatures still remaining above normal. So let's summarize here. We do have a weak front passing through over the next couple days. There's not going to be a whole lot of impact with that. Then as we get into the 6 to 10 day range, we're going to have a very strong push of warm air, and that's going to usher in through the 6 to 10 day period unusually warm air over a large part of the region. Then we're going to come back down a little bit beyond 10 days, but still remain above normal. Okay, now precipitation is quite important. There's a lot of field work going on. So here we go. Week 1. Looks like it's a very narrow stripe of some rainfall here. It's over some areas that have been wet, so we're going to aggravate that situation. But other areas look like they're going to remain mainly dry or at least below normal precipitation this week. Now, week 2 looks a little bit interesting here. I looked at a variety of models, and they are indicating the possibility of some wet weather over maybe some larger areas, but again, over areas that have had some recent rain, maybe a little bit further to the east. So we could have some delays and some issues in week 2 with the unusually warm weather, but also maybe daily chances of precipitation as well over these areas shaded in the darker shades of green. So because of that, over the next 10 days, it does look like soil moisture could be increasing over Iowa, which has been very dry over the eastern part. The western has received a soaking rain more recently. So changing soil moisture profiles over Iowa. Some cases that might be positive, other cases in harvest operations that might not be so positive. We think almost everybody wish we would have gotten this rain a month or so ago. So it's not necessarily coming at the best time, but from a bigger picture, it is recharging some of our soils. So I think the biggest trend right now is going to be the unusually warm period of weather coming up ahead. And it might feel very much more like summertime than early fall. Again, have a safe and enjoyable week, and we'll talk to you again soon.